No, I'm just going to add just a couple of things because I know John laid it out pretty well, but it's just, I think what he ended with is the biggest thing we're feeling is we're just grateful that he had you and that you've been part of his life. Because he'd been coming to Palm Croft for a long time. My wife and I used to live here. We're in Southern California now. We attended Palm Croft for a number of years. I remember when we came to the church and joined over on McDowell, and we met the mafia, the Van Loo mafia. That's the first thing we learned was that there's a whole bunch of Van Loos here. But Dennis was part of this this church, the class, and it's just been, we're just grateful, like John said, that you have been here. Because when we got here the other night, we all flew in on Friday, and we went over to the Mans, and Rich said something about that we're really looking forward to talking to you just to find out what Dennis was like. And about probably a half hour earlier, John and Susie and I were saying, sure will be nice to be with this class so we can find out what Dennis was like. Because he was kind of an enigma. I mean, he was such a good guy, but he was private. And we just didn't know him that well, even being family. I remember growing up, I went to Clarendon School, and after school, my mom worked, and so I would walk across the field and go visit for about an hour or so before they came to pick me up, and Uncle Dennis was there. And he was very into games. He had a lot of board games, and so we'd go over there and play the games and drink 7-Up, and we'd ride bicycles. But as John mentioned, his mom was a little bit restrictive, so we couldn't ride anywhere except the backyard. So we rode in the backyard, and that was our adventure. But just being able to do that, he did corrupt our children with jokes. And when we were going through this stuff, we found spiral notebooks with pages of jokes he had collected. And that's what's so interesting. He was a scholar, I think. We found notebooks with all of his class notes that he had taken in Bible college, and beyond there must have been 30 notebooks with at least this much paper in each one, and it was all of his class notes. John was a little upset because he didn't have any of his class notes. He kept the ones that had the most value to him, I guess. But he had quotes that he had gotten from different sermons. He kept track of those things. He just had notebook after notebook of things that just meant a lot to him. So he was private, and he was one of those inward people. And so there was just a lot going on inside, and you didn't get to see it as much on the outside. But there's a legacy there, there's a heritage there. We were looking at going through some of this stuff, and what struck me was I think I learned more in the last couple days going through things than I ever knew about him when we were there, because you could see his thoughts. And for a private person, you don't always hear what they're thinking. But to be able to go through and just see what was important to him. And it's like, there was just a legacy inside, kind of a hidden treasure. We were going through his comic books, and he has some of the almost original Superman, Batman, like the first few editions. And we were telling the Mans about it, and he said, well, are they in plastic? It's like, no, he would read them. And so it wasn't for display. It's like, he subscribed to these comic books. And so they would show up, and he'd read them, and I'd read them, and go through those. And so just for fun, we looked up online how much one of those early ones is worth. So we're retiring now. There could be, we don't know yet. We're going to look around more today, but it's like there's just a whole hidden treasure in this shelf in the closet behind the closed door that nobody would even see. And I think if I were to use a metaphor to describe Dennis, I think that's probably it. There's probably so much value in there that nobody really tapped into. But if we were to put a price on it and say what was that worth, there's a whole treasure, a hidden treasure, I think, inside of him. The biggest thing that I took out of this experience, have taken out of this experience so far, is I have some stacks. I don't have as many as Dennis had. Most people don't. But I thought, okay, there will come a point where I'm going to disappear and my kids are going to be going through things. I have an insatiable desire right now to go home and clean. So they don't have to go through the process. Dennis kept every Christmas card I think he'd ever been sent. He had birthday cards. He had unopened bills from the 80s. And, but he wasn't in jail, so I guess it was okay. But this, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things he just kept them, and that's fine. It's part of who he was. But I thought, I don't want my kids to have to do that much. But the other thing is, they are going to go through things, and they're going to learn about what my life was like, and the stories, and the things that were important to me. They're going to form an opinion. And I thought, we're learning about Dennis in ways we didn't know. I thought, what kind of an impression would somebody have of me in my life? What would they think was important to me if they went through my papers? I don't want to go clean them out just to present an image, but I thought it's just that all of us have that. Sometimes I think we get to a point at a certain age where we feel like we're beyond. It's like, okay, this is who I am. I'm not going to change. It's like I've accepted who I am, but we're always, Christ has given us our purpose, our value, and to be able to find that in who he has made us. And I think Dennis was unique, but you know what? Aren't all of us? Everybody says you're supposed to go soar like an eagle. Well, if you're a turtle, that's discouraging. But I want to be the best turtle that God made me. And I think Dennis actually was the best of who with the tools he had, with even the growing up and the heritage, the things that he learned. That's who he was. It's not, was it good, was it bad? It's comparing. It's just, that's who he was. And I want to learn more. If I was in this class, I would just want to start exploring the treasure that's in this room.
Come on, man.
And it's a long drive. but for you to be able to do it with each other, it's like there's stuff you don't know about each other. There's treasure here. And this is the time to start going through the files, I think, and just see what's here and learn from each other. And the scriptures say we grow as iron sharpens iron, and just to be able to be part of the encouragement in each other's lives. So bottom line, thank you. We appreciate you guys more than you know.